Thanks for checking out this video. Don't forget, like and subscribe.
Let me just quickly go through all the folks who got in. So Roman Reigns, Shingo Takagi, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, as we mentioned, Johnny Rougeau, the Young Bucks, the Dinamitas, Shima, Johnny Saint, and Bobby Davis. That is your class of the 2024 Hall of Fame.
Looked like the last four you mentioned literally got in by one or two votes. I mean, it was crazy. Some of the other ones, I think the Bucks got in by like 6. The other ones got in by more. Yeah.
How do you explain, Dave, someone like Shima, like going from 23% to 60% in 1 year?
I was hoping somebody would tell me, because that was the one where, like, I didn't even think he was a candidate to get in. I know a lot of people were supportive. I don't have an answer other than I think that it may be one of those things where, number one, Takagi was going to get in and should have. And I think the people who voted for Takagi, when you look at that list, wasn't a deep list in Japan this year. And it's kind of like, I'm voting for Takagi. Well, Shima was, like they were contemporaries in Dragon Gate. And Shima was like, Takagi was the better wrestler, but Shima was like the bigger star. It's kind of like, well, maybe if Takagi goes in, Shima goes in. And there's also, I think, the thing with Shima is he's the first guy ever in the modern era to go in while never being a star with what I would call a major promotion. I guess some people would argue Dragon Gate was during that time, because there were periods that they were like the number 2, but they were distant number 2. But Dragon Gate was never considered a major promotion. It was like, like an ECW or something like that. I guess you could say FMW. FMW really drew well at certain points. You know what I mean? I mean, as far as like what we're talking about, like that level of promotion, an ECW or Ring of Honor. I mean, Ring of Honor guys have gone in, but every Ring of Honor guy who got in, had a big run somewhere else, whether it was in Japan or WWE or AEW. So it wasn't like anybody got in strictly from Ring of Honor. It helped people, but and nobody ever got in from ECW, at all. I don't think.
No.
So it's a new thing, but I don't have a great explanation. I was hoping somebody would tell me because
I have a theory, like, and this is part of the reason I voted for him. And it's what you talked about. Like, as you're looking at Shingo, you're also looking at Shima, and then you're looking at the influence that Shima had on a lot of the people that come up. So even more than Shingo is the influence that he carried over to other Japanese wrestlers. And the also is Ishii and Naito going in last year opened up spots on that ballot.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and I think that Japan, it's funny when I look at the ballot for next year, like this year, there were a lot of guys who I thought really needed to get in, and almost every one of them did. Like right now, Bobby Bruns and, I think, there's a lot of the modern people from like Becky Lynch who didn't really do that well, or Moxley who didn't really do that well, who I think should be up there. You can argue Randy Orton, people would argue. But I think most of the people who I would say needed to get in did. So now I think that it's really open season, like in the retired American wrestlers and in the Japanese, I don't really see anyone that I think that there'll be one or two that I'm going to vote for, but I don't see anyone that's necessary to vote for.
Punk is absolutely the one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that, and in the modern category, Cody Rhodes too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Punk and Cody.
June Byers historical, I think, is one that probably going to get in next year based on
I think that if that movie has any kind of, the Mildred Burke movie has any kind of, resonates at all, that will probably put her over the top, because it helped the Von Erichs a lot. The movie coming out, even though it was a year ago, it helped them. And their candidates, they were a little short of a sure thing, but there's certainly, they've got a shot next year. I think JYD's got a shot next year. June Byers.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ted Turner in a year or two, because he got a big bump this year. 10% more than last year. So I wouldn't be so. I've been voting for Ted Turner for a couple of years now.
Documentary just came out on Max too about him.
Yeah, the funny thing in the documentary is that I think there was a very short clip of wrestling, but I mean it's funny because the role of Georgia Championship Wrestling, as far as in cable, the evolution of cable television in the United States, is gigantic. But it's one of those things that, like, I know it, you guys all know it, but the world as it is, they don't know it. They just know that this Ted Turner put that thing up. But the thing that, you know, that made that station go, I mean, like when he first put it up, you know, obviously he lost a lot of money early on, but he had a vision.
Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that notify button, and you'll never miss a video again.